So this is from Reuters. Let's take a look at the headline. It says, breaking ranks with the European Union, Hungary says it's ready to pay for Russian gas in rubles. Uh-oh. Trouble in paradise. We're starting to see cracks emerge. So you guys remember, Russia said, if Europe or unfriendly countries, you guys want gas, you have to pay in rubles, the Russian currency. And the G7 said, no way, we're not doing that. The EU said, no way, we're not doing that. And so now you've actually had one EU member come out and break ranks. And let's take a look at what's happening. Hungary will pay for shipments in rubles if Russia asks it to, Prime Minister Viktor Orban told a news conference on Wednesday in reply to a Reuters question. Okay, so Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has warned Europe that it risks having gas supplies cut unless it pays in rubles as he seeks retaliation over Western sanctions for Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. With weeks to go before bills are due, the EU Commission has said that those with contracts requiring payment in euros or dollars should stick to that. In general, people had an understanding that on April 1st, Russia will turn off the gas if people don't pay up. The thing is, the gas that's flowing right now, we're what, 7th of April? The gas that's flowing right now from Russia to Europe. Europe gets 40% of its gas from Russia. The bills for this gas don't have to be paid until mid-April. So let's mid-April till end of April. So again, they still have a few weeks to do this. And Vladimir Putin said, you have to go open a ruble account in Gazprom Bank. So basically, when they're saying here that the contracts are still in euros and dollars, I mean, technically speaking, those countries are still going to send euros and dollars, but they have to open a ruble account so that Gazprom Bank can exchange the euros and dollars to rubles and pay for the gas for them. So in the end, the EU countries are not the ones who are going to be selling the euros and dollars for rubles, but Gazprom Bank will be doing that for them and paying for the gas in their name. So it's the same thing. It's as if they had done it as well. You have, in the end, it's going to say Germany, or it's going to say, Hungary or Austria paying for the gas in rubles. Doesn't matter who sold the money on the Moscow Stock Exchange, who converted it to rubles. That's irrelevant. The fact that it's being done, you are going to have a higher demand of rubles. The gas is going to be paid in rubles. That's what counts. And so that they have a few weeks left to open these ruble accounts. I've also heard that Austria and Slovakia have said that they're also going to agree to this ruble payment system. The thing is, I think that's more of a rumor. It's not 100% confirmed because they haven't come out and officially said it the way Hungary has. I don't think they have a choice. If you look at a map of European gas dependency on Russia, for these countries, it's really it's really not looking that good. I mean, just Austria, for example. Austria has two issues. Number one, it has the lowest gas reserves in Europe. And on top of it, it depends more than any other European country on Russian gas. So it gets 80% of its gas from Russia. I mean, you don't have a choice. you have to go and pay for the stuff in rubles. There's no other way. There's no other way. It's nothing, anything short of a miracle. It's fantasy. It's wishful thinking. Here, I'm trying to get you a more recent map, because if you go and look at a map from 2014, it's relatively the same. The dependency has only grown since then. But we want something a bit more recent so we can kind of encapsulate the situation a bit better. So do you see how much Austria depends on natural gas imports from Russia? As I said, 80%. Czech Republic, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, all of these countries, they really heavily depend on Russian gas. They have no choice. It's just that simple. Even Germany, which is 50%, I mean, you just can't replace that at the drop of a hat. And I've gone through this extensively on the channel. I explained to you that, number one, the shockwave this would cause economically, people losing their jobs, that's bad enough on its own. But the fact there's no infrastructure, so, you could say, yeah, I want to get LNG, liquefied natural gas from Qatar or the US. Great. How are you going to import it? You don't have any terminals. Germany doesn't have a single terminal. So there is really no choice but to take this gas. And I think you're going to see a domino effect. Right now, it's just Hungary. Okay. Austria and Slovakia will follow suit, and all the countries I just showed you that heavily depend on Russian gas, they will too. The UK doesn't need Russian gas or Russian energy. They really, they can live without it. They can. But again, the UK is is part of Europe, not the European Union, but it is part of Europe. And, if countries just start refusing to pay for the gas in rubles, it's not just their economies that are going to be screwed. It's everything is going to go down the gutter. Okay, this is a very serious situation. And I want to add one more thing. When it comes to Hungary, right? You just had elections in Hungary. And of course, liberals are very upset about this. They think that democracy is basically... democracy is like when they have a result that's favorable to them, not when it's democratic. But in any case, they're upset because this guy wants to buy Russian gas, right? So they say, oh yeah, he's an authoritarian and so on. Sure, whatever. But when it comes to his foreign policy, what they're really upset about is not his domestic stuff. It's his foreign policy, because he is not afraid to keep trading with Russia. Do you understand? And so it's the same thing that you hear about other countries. They say, oh, that guy's a dictator and so on. Again, you don't have to like them. There could be truth to what they're saying. But my point is, they don't give a crap about the domestic policies. They care about the foreign policy and how it impacts U.S. interests. So here's an article from the BBC. It says, victory for Hungary's Orban means a headache for the EU. Again, they'll talk about press freedom and migration and all these things. And sure, you can make lots of valid criticisms. Sure. But what they really care about in the EU and Washington, D.C. is always foreign policy. That's the only thing that really matters. He has refused to send weapons into Ukraine or to allow other countries to transit their arms destined for Ukraine through Hungary. So although he's put sanctions on Russia, he's not part of the war effort, and that's a big no-no. Do you see what I was telling you? It's only foreign policy that matters in the end. That's really the only thing they care about. If you play ball, everything else is okay. Saudi Arabia is not exactly a democracy. They don't exactly have gay rights or LGBTQ plus rights or press freedoms or respect for women. They don't care, the Americans, about all of that. That doesn't matter. Saudi Arabia, however, gives them oil. Saudi Arabia acts as a regional policeman. Saudi Arabia helps them maintain a foothold of US bases in the Middle East. It's all about the foreign policy every single time. Remember that. And so, honestly, I really think you're going to see a domino effect. I could be wrong, but I really struggle to see how these idiot bureaucrats in the EU think, gas is just going to come out of thin air. It's just going to fall out of the sky and find its way into, all the factories and people's homes, and everything's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine and dandy. You got to pay up in rubles. That's the thing. And do you see again? They did this to themselves, man, because by making the payments in rubles, you're basically backing up the ruble with gas and, of course, with gold, right? Which is what the Russians have done now. So you have two, actual commodities that people need that are backing up, shoring up this currency. This wasn't the case. 2 months ago, if Vladimir Putin had tried to do this, to get Europeans to pay for the gas in rubles, this would never fly. This would never fly. But now, because they've hit him with sanctions, and the rubles plummeted, the Russians are backed into a corner. So it's like, you know what? We're backed into a corner. Everything's screwed anyway, so we might as well try our luck. And again, that's really just undermining the value of the euro and the US dollar. When we talk about, of course, oil sales to India, and I've addressed all these other things with Venezuela, Iran. They really shot themselves in the foot. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. It's unbelievable. Again, let's check the value of the ruble. Okay, so let's, you could pick €1, let's try $1 to rubles. We're at 82 rubles to the dollar. So if you look at pre-war levels, let's take, 2nd of February, whatever, 21st of January. It was 77 on the dollar, and now it's at 82. I mean, goodness, it's almost regained its entire value. And of course, you'll have people saying, yeah, but it's just temporary. It's just artificial. I don't know, man. Basically, for Europeans, they're seeing, the sanctions against Russia in terms of crushing the ruble have not worked. We have to pay higher gas prices, higher food prices, higher energy prices. I mean, I think Scott was right. There's going to come a moment in time, people are going to get sick of this. And when you're hungry and you don't have heating and you don't have electricity, there's no amount of propaganda that is going to make you, just accept that for the sake of whatever von der Leyen or Biden said about, fighting for European values. Apparently, that means sending, that includes, doesn't only mean, but it includes sending weapons to neo-Nazis. I think you're going to find a lot of people will not be happy. And again, remember, what is the goal of sanctions? The goal of sanctions is to make a target population suffer so much that they go on the street and they overthrow the government that you are trying to overthrow, right? So in this case, the Americans want Russians in Russia to suffer so badly because of higher prices, inflation, lack of imports, that they get so sick of it and they overthrow the government, right? It's the same principle in Syria and Iran and so on. And the irony here is that although people in Russia are suffering from the sanctions, make no mistake, the irony here is that you could very well see this blow back in Europe. You might very well have people in Europe taking to the streets because of these sanctions. And this is unique because usually, you know, the EU and the US put sanctions on countries and you never hear about it. It's never covered in the media. They never tell you what that means for the target population, and you never feel the effects of it back home. And this time, you know, it's looking quite different.